Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Leftover Popcorn Podcast. This is a movie-related podcast, and I inject some personal stuff into it as well. But most of the time, we just talk about movies and my life. My name is Damian Luneman. If you're new to the podcast, please subscribe or follow me on Instagram at Damian Luneman. I would really appreciate it. And YouTube as well, Damian Luneman. But anyways, let's just jump straight fucking into it, dude. So there are many things that I've talked about in this podcast that reoccur, that come back up, and one of them today is going to be The Lion King. I talked about it previously in like two podcasts and then one really long one. But today, the box office tracking came out and said it was going to be the second highest grossing movie this year besides Endgame. And it's pretty crazy to think that Endgame, being number one, obviously, because it made fucking $300 million in its first weekend, which is incredible. It didn't just break the record, it broke it by $100 million. But here we are with The Lion King, which, I guarantee, I don't know you, whoever's listening to this, but I know for a fact that you've probably seen, not probably, that you have seen Lion King, and you are excited for the new one. I can almost guarantee it. And to put in, people are obviously already asking themselves, hey, how much is this movie going to make? Now, before Endgame came out, I kind of thought it was possible that this movie would make maybe not more, but as much. But now, not even close. There isn't a chance in hell Lion King makes more than Endgame. However, that's not to say it won't make more than most everything else. I don't know if it'll pass the 2.7, where Endgame is right now, but I do definitely think that The Lion King box office will be about $2 billion. I wouldn't be surprised if it hits the $2 billion club in the top 5 highest grossing movies of all time. And based on these advanced ticket sales go, which is also another thing, it is crazy that these movies like Endgame, you always hear, like, oh, it broke the website, like it went down because so many people pre-ordered ticket. But the more and more that people adopt the technology of advanced tickets, the more likely that the advanced ticket sales are going to go up. And the further we go into the future of buying movie tickets, it's only going to get higher. So while I do think I don't want to just look at the box office tracking and be like, oh, shit, here we are. It's going to be the highest grossing movie of all time, because more and more people are buying tickets. There are people that I know personally that are like, oh, well, I got my tickets already for Lion King. And I'm like, do you know how to do that? To no criticism of those people, but more and more people are doing it, the more popular it is. So while I don't think that is a good indication of whether or not it's going to make, $2 billion, the title of the movie will. And the fact that Jon Favreau already has had such great reception and critical success with The Jungle Book, and now he's doing another, not live action. Don't call it live action because it is animated. Now he's done 2 Disney productions, and I have no doubt that this one is going to make a shit ton of money. As much as Endgame, though, you gotta be. I don't think so. Now that it's kind of hypocritical, because before, if you asked me if Endgame was going to make $2.7 billion, I'd probably be like, well, okay, maybe not that much, but then it broke it in a matter of weeks. So while I don't think Lion King is going to get even close to those numbers, I do think it's very funny that it's gonna come close, because you have all these movies coming out, and Disney's just gonna own everything here pretty soon. I mean, of the potential top 5 movies of the year, and also the potential top 5 movies of all time, like 4 of them this year are Disney's movies. I mean, think about it. Endgame is already number 2. Boom, Disney product. Then you have Lion King. I guarantee you it'll be in the top 5 of all time, or top 10. Boom, Disney. Then you have Toy Story 4, which already made a shit ton of money its first weekend and is going to continue to grow the more buzz it gets, which has been good. And then you have Frozen 2, which, if you've been around in the past 10 years, you know that movie kind of shook the world. Frozen was like Fortnite, where you couldn't even go outside without hearing people talk about it or sing about it. I mean, obviously not so much anymore, but boom, that's why you get a sequel. And then you put it on the market again, and here you are. You have all these people talking about it, the little kids singing. You get to sell the toys again, and boom, Disney's up there. And then of course, last but not least, the finale of the Skywalker saga, Rise of Skywalker, is also a Disney film, and that comes out in Christmas. Another movie that will, without a doubt, I guarantee you, break the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time. And of course, once again, it's a Disney movie. They are killing it, and they are destroying any competition in their path. And it's funny, too, because it's just going to be an even better year for them, because if you go back and look, there have been some crazy highbrow movies that have come out, and all of them critically have not been doing good. I mean, Godzilla for me was, I think, the biggest surprise, because the trailers for that movie had been so good. They had been so incredibly exciting. I mean, I still haven't even seen it yet, and I think partly due to the critical buzz around it is that it's just mediocre. And it seems to be that that's the case with a lot of these movies coming out. The new Annabelle movie, mediocre. The new Child's Play movie, mediocre. It's pretty wild. The new X-Men movie. What X-Men movies used to be huge. They used to be, the first X-Men movie basically started the superhero genre. Basically, we wouldn't have any of these movies today if we didn't have Bryan Singer's first X-Men film. And here we are with its last one, and boy, did that flop critically and financially. But that's probably just a testament to, not people being burnt out by superhero movies, but, man, people are smart now. Before, people used to not know what a connected cinematic universe was. People used to not know what all of these things meant. And if you're coming out with a superhero movie right after Endgame that has nothing to do with Endgame, a movie franchise people have spent, 10 years of their life following, once you release a movie that doesn't have to do with that, you kind of lose, maybe not lose interest in the superhero genre, but you're kind of like, well, I don't need to see it then. Because it got to the point where Marvel movies would be like, well, you need to see these, otherwise you can't go to the one after that. You need to see it. And so it's kind of funny that Marvel has created that kind of thing to where if it's not the cinematic universe movie, it's not going to make that much money, which is, pretty sad for original superhero films, but, you got to make that money. You got to turn the lights on. There's something else I wanted to bring up too regarding regarding these movies in Disney. So one thing that I was kind of thinking about and wondering is, I saw today that Disney, released like a press thing and saying that yes, Avengers Endgame is going to come out on Blu-ray, 4K, DVD, obviously, and it'll be streaming on July 30th, and then you can buy it at stores on August 13th. And I was kind of thinking about it, and it is pretty funny, but these might be the last superhero movie DVDs as from Disney. And I'm not just speculating here, and I'm not just like making up some things. I think we're towards the end of the material, the purchasing hard copies of DVDs, not video games. They're in the same kind of realm, going to the store, buying a disc or whatever. But I think video games are slightly different. But with all these streaming services, Warner Brothers has one. The DC Comics has their own separate one. You have Netflix Originals. You have Amazon Prime. You have Hulu. Apple Plus is coming out, and then of course Disney Plus, which is a Disney streaming service where they'll put all of their Disney movies on there. I think we're getting close to the end of this era where we go to the store and we buy DVDs, because I think people are going to think, well, what's the reason of me going out to buy the DVD? Like, why go buy Avengers Endgame if I'm paying $7 a month and I get it on there already? I almost said for free. never think, because I always used to say this, if you ever have a streaming service, you're paying monthly for something, the things you're getting in there, they're not free. That's why you're paying for it. So if you're ever like, yeah, dude, I get to watch House of Cards for free and I don't even have to pay for it. Well, you do. You got to pay for Netflix. Maybe House of Cards is a bad example. Too soon. Sorry. But stuff like that, like I have an Xbox, so I have Xbox Game Pass, which is basically like Netflix, but for video games. You don't have to go to the store and buy them. As long as you're paying monthly, you can download them. Once your monthly payment stops, you don't get to download them anymore or play them. And so I always used to say, like, oh, yeah, these new games come on there, dude. I just got to play them for free, which, again, no. I'm paying monthly. They're taking money out of my bank account every month to do that. But I think it's pretty interesting, and I'm not against, these like going away from hard copies and stuff like that. I'm not against that. It's actually pretty interesting and pretty cool because I think recently, when me and Violet are on the couch, we're watching movies, rarely ever. And it's just because it's easier, you know what I'm saying? If you're like, oh, you want to watch a movie? You don't go to Walmart and find a movie to buy. You don't go to Best Buy and find a movie to buy or FYE or anything like that. You just see what's on the Microsoft Store, whatever console, whatever piece of Fire TV, if you have Amazon or anything like that. You just go see what movies they have on for digital that you can rent straight from your console or your home entertainment system, and it's pretty cool. And for movies, it makes sense because if all of these movie companies are going to have their own streaming services and they only want you to buy their streaming service, well, if you're buying the hard copies, well, then what's the point of having the Disney streaming service? And then if you're using the Disney streaming service, what's the point of buying the hard copies? And the easiest one to eliminate, because of where we're going futuristically, you eliminate the hard copies. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to compete with yourself. You know what I'm saying? That being said, it is kind of like triple lottery, dude. You have if people want to buy the DVD, boom, you get money. If people want to stream your services, boom, you get money. People just want to rent it, boom, you get money. But I think what they want to do is kind of just spearhead this project to where it's almost even more exclusive. Hey, if you want to watch that, you better get Disney Plus, dude. You better do it. Which is funny because out of all these streaming services, I think, other than Warner Brothers, I think Disney. They just have it, dude. Who doesn't want to watch old Disney movies? And I know Netflix has a couple, but I mean, Disney's gonna get all of them. They're gonna take all of them off of Netflix. They're gonna take all of them with them because Disney doesn't want anything on Netflix anymore, which is why they canceled their Marvel TV shows because they're gonna put it on their streaming service. They don't want that competition, and they don't want a lot of people's hands in their pots. They just want one pot. They want to stir it. But I think it's pretty interesting because I saw that Avengers was coming out, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy that on DVD." And I was like, "Well, maybe I'll just digitally download it." But having the copy would be cool, right? The cover's cool, which is funny because I think the art of and I'm not the first person to say this. I'm definitely quoting someone else, but I think the art of movie posters is dead. Because movie posters used to be so cool. Right behind me, I have this Mad Max one, which is fairly new, and it's a great movie. It's cool, but the poster is really not that great. But then I have Mulan right next to that one, and dude, you couldn't even tell it was Mulan by looking at it. If it didn't have the name of the movie above it, it says Mulan squared boxed in or whatever, you'd be like, oh, that looks cool. What the hell is that? Because back in the day, when movie companies didn't put so much into trailers, or kind of where trailers didn't even matter, and home video stores were a big thing, like Blockbuster and stuff like that, you didn't pull out your phone. Like now, if you want to watch a movie and you see something that looks cool on your digital streaming service, you just watch a trailer. You watch the trailer right then. But when you're in Blockbuster back in the day, you can't do that. Or even further back in the day, you can't just pull out your phone and watch a trailer. So when you're in the home video store, it was almost like a competition between these movie companies to see who could make the cooler box art. Because then you're in the home video store and it's whichever one catches your attention. Because I know we've all been there. You're like, oh, that looks cool, and you pick it up and you could watch it and the movie's dog shit, but it doesn't matter because they got your attention with the box art. But now with streaming and home video, like those stores going away and kind of just you buying it at Walmart, most likely you've already seen it. And half of the time, just like video game covers, all of these box arts, all of these posters are just a main character on the front holding a weapon and then the title above them every single time. And it's so sad because there are still great movie posters that come out, but it's still very sad. I mean, even Star Wars, a movie franchise that used to have the best movie posters, and some would argue still do. It's getting to the point where these movie posters are so cluttered. They put every cast member on them imaginable. Right to my left in my my podcasting room, right to my left, I have the original Aliens movie or Alien movie, and it's literally just an egg in a black space, the title Alien above it, and then below it says "No one can hear you scream," or "In space, no one can hear you scream." It's brilliant. It's brilliant because if you saw that, you'd be like, okay, well, one, I like aliens, so that's cool. There's an egg, so you're like, ooh, mysterious. Is it the alien egg? Are the aliens already alive, or is that the only egg? And then below it, "In space, no one can hear you scream." A great, incredible tagline because one, you're like, oh shit, that's true, and then boom, it implies it's a horror movie because they're evoking that there will be screaming or somebody will scream, and it's incredible. It is incredible. And now they just jumble fucking everything together. If you look at, there's a leaked poster for A Rise of Skywalker. It's not the official one. We don't know what the official one is, but there was a leaked poster of it. And oh my god, dude, it looks so fucking bad. You got like Rey, Finn, Kylo Ren, R2-D2, C-3PO, Chewbacca, Leia, Luke, Han, like, no, not Han, but they're all just like jumbled in there. You can't even pick them out unless you're squinting, and it just looks like every other movie cover ever. And I always go back to, and my friend Alex knows, I think my favorite movie poster of all time is the Phantom Menace poster. It's not the official one, because obviously if you look up the Phantom Menace poster, you're probably going to get that. But the one that was like in movie theaters and kind of like a production one was the infamous like Anakin, who was a kid, standing next to this building, and the shadow, even though he's a little kid, the shadow is that of Darth Vader. Now, you knowing, you've already seen the other movies, know, oh shit, that's dark, dude, that's incredible. The title of the movie isn't on there, you just know, because they trust you, the audience, to know the silhouette of the most popular movie character of all time. Most popular villain movie character of all time. They trust you to see that, connect the two, and go, oh, I know what I'm seeing. But now it's like, man, the text of the film is taking up the whole poster. The poster might as well just be text, top text and bottom text, with the cast in the middle. And it's pretty shitty. Now, some movie posters I think still try, to evoke the old school kind of cool posters. I can't even think of any at the top of my head, other than like some Edgar Wright movies, maybe like Baby Driver. That poster is really, really cool. I really like that one. But even then, they kind of do the same thing. Just put characters in the top left, jumble them all together, and have some art. But I think a perfect example. Oh my goodness, a perfect example of the movie poster kind of dying out is this new marketing for the new Spider-Man Far From Home movie, which again talked about previously, but there oh shit there has been marketing going on. Obviously all these movie posters are coming out, and they are arguably the worst movie posters I have seen for a Marvel movie. Maybe not period, but they are so bad. Like when Empire magazine or Entertainment Weekly or Vogue, they ever do these spreadsheets on movies, usually they do. And you can kind of see like set photos or just kind of like still images that they took at a photo shoot. Dude, in some of these Spider-Man Far From Home like posters and cover art and stuff like that, you can tell they just photoshopped them in and then put the background of like Venice behind them, and they were like, oh, are you excited for this movie? None of it looks real, none of it looks artistic. It's all Photoshop work. And it's so funny because just recently, I think it was yesterday, there was a piece of marketing for Far From Home floating around the internet, and it was two things side by side in the same country. I believe it wasn't America, and it was two things of Nick Fury, and so Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, has an eye patch, and I believe he wears it on his left eye, right eye. It doesn't matter. Well, one of the pictures, I mean, it does matter because that's the point of what I'm telling you. But in one of the pictures, and they're side by side. Granted, it's like you go to the movie theater, they have these huge cardboard cutouts. Well, I guess they have two for Samuel L. Jackson in this movie theater. And both of them, I kid you not, both of them, he's wearing the eye patch on different eyes, right next to each other. On different eyes, dude. It's the one central character trait of Nick Fury. Whether he was the white comic book one or the Samuel L. Jackson black one, dude, he wears the eye patch. He wears the eye patch, and he wears it on one fucking eye. And so, back to back, because I think if you would have just had maybe just the one poster, nobody would have told the difference. But in the same movie theater, in the same marketing image, boom, you have him wearing it on two separate eyes. And it just goes to show that these people, it's so funny because I always compare it to Game of Thrones and stuff like that with the coffee cup and the water bottle, but honestly, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Yes, it is crazy. Oh, well, how did you guys let a coffee cup slip on or whatever? How did you let a water bottle stay on set or whatever? But if you think about it, think about how many movies, how many TV shows are made, and for how much money and for how ensemble cast they are, right? How huge these fucking movies are epic. How many people are in one shot? It is. Sometimes it's crazy that it happens, but it's also, I think, crazier it doesn't happen more. I think, yes, when you see the coffee cup, you're like, yeah, that's crazy. But in the 7 seasons of that show, with how big it is, and it's not like just this year, the cast members started drinking coffee. They always fucking did. I think it's crazy, more crazy. I think we should be looking at it in a slightly positive light. It's crazier that this doesn't happen more often. However, I think whenever you're on a movie set and you're an actor and you just have a coffee and you're waiting for whatever your job is, and you're just kind of sitting there and you're drinking it or whatever, and they're like, okay, hey, Damon, we gotta do a close up on you, and it's like, okay, is the coffee fine in frame? Yeah, we're just doing a close up. Don't worry, we won't worry about the coffee. Anything from the waist down, you don't have to worry about. But then when they're editing in post, someone's like, oh, well, this wide would look really cool, and then he's like, oh, no, well, it's too fucking late. Because, hey, now your coffee cup's in the shot. That happens. But with marketing, it kind of fucking baffles me that you have one job. You have one job. Your character that you're putting in the poster, you have to make sure everything's fine. You have to make sure everything's okay. It's working. And it's so, so funny because even Samuel L. Jackson today posted on, I think, his Twitter about it, or Instagram, and he said, left eye, or he said hashtag left eye motherfucker, and then he said, how in the fuck does this happen? It's so funny, because even I doubt he's that upset about it, but I think he probably also is like, okay, guys, this is a millions and millions and millions dollar budget film, and we're putting the eye patch on the wrong eye? Come on, in the marketing, not in the movie, not while you're filming, not where it's hectic and crazy, dude. You're sitting in an office, you're at your computer, you get to decide what Nick Fury looks like, where you're putting him. And it's funny because I think it's the same image too. They just photoshopped it different. And I'm guessing the eye patch didn't look right on the other eye because it wasn't the eye that was showing. So then they just moved it to the other eye. Or it was fucked up from the beginning. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. But I think that's super funny. And it just goes to show that, dude, as much as I hate to say it, because now I have movie posters hanging up in my office, I think it's kind of crazy that not how far we've come, but how low we've stooped. Because even if you're not a hardcore movie fan, even if you're kind of just going with the flow and just watching movies as you go and just seeing movie posters, man. I think you can even tell these movie posters are not that great anymore. They really aren't, and it's pretty shitty. But hey, we'll still have all those old movie posters like Evil Dead and Dawn of the Dead and all that cool shit. Which is also why I go ahead and I try to buy the steelbooks as much as I can, because a steelbook cover art is kind of like the old school stuff. And believe you me, I try my hardest to make sure if I'm going to buy a disc, if I am going to, I'm going to get the one with the coolest box cover art, whether it has a sleeve or not, and the sleeve is pointless because I'm just going to take it off every time I need to watch the movie. I'm going to look for the one with the best movie cover. There was something else I wanted to talk about too, and I am kind of drawing a blank. No, that might be actually it. I kind of just wanted to do a little movie news kind of drop. But also, me and Violet went to go see the movie Anna. And if you haven't seen the trailers for that, the marketing for it has not been very good. And I think it's partly because Luc Besson is going through some controversy himself, the director of the film, who also directed Fifth Element, Valerian, Leon the Professional, some other damn good movies. Granted, I haven't seen Valerian, but Fifth Element is one of my all-time favorites. And Lucy, which I really enjoy. And here he is with another movie called Anna. And whenever I saw the trailer, whenever I showed Violet, I was under the impression, or the vibe that the movie gives off, is that it's a female John Wick. It's another Atomic Blonde. And while after seeing the movie, there is still elements of that stuff in there. It's still got the Red Sparrow stuff with Jennifer Lawrence. It's still got the Atomic Blonde. It's still got the John Wick stuff. But what I think this movie does better than Red Sparrow and Atomic Blonde, I don't think better than John Wick, at least not the first one, is it's just a good movie. It's a well-made film. The characters in it are very good. And I have to say, walking out of Anna, I was so pleasantly surprised. Seeing the trailer, I was like, I mean, this could be cool, or it could be total shit. The action will probably be cool, but everything else will be shit. And while there is action in the movie, don't go expecting an action film, because it's not really an action movie. Maybe it is, but there's not like crazy set pieces. There's not, lots of explosions and crazy like anything like that. It's a spy thriller. It is. But one thing that this movie does that I think Red Sparrow and Atomic Blonde failed to do, because Red Sparrow didn't have very good action, and it also just wasn't that good of a movie. It was kind of boring. And then Atomic Blonde wasn't a good movie, but the action was fucking incredible. And then I think Anna finds the perfect balance, not between Red Sparrow, because it's not boring, but the story elements, the stuff without action, is really good. And the main actress, Sasha Luss, I believe is her name, does an incredible job. Luke Evans, Cillian Murphy, Helen Mirren is in it with the Russian accent. That's incredible. But what I will say, if you guys are going to go see this movie, don't go in expecting like a Mad Max level of action film, but it's just a damn good movie, and I was so surprised. 30 minutes into it, I looked over to Violet, and I was like, this is not at all what I expected it to be. And she was like, do you like it? And I said, yeah. I like it because it's not what I expected it to be. It's actually just a damn good movie, and I would actually really enjoy going to see it again. But I really don't have the time or the money, because next month is fucking insane, which is good because it's my birthday month. But next week it's Spider-Man Far From Home, Midsommar. I think the director said that's how you're supposed to say it. Midsommar. I don't know. It makes me think of ASMR. I don't know. And then of course the aforementioned Lion King, which is just gonna blow the fucking everything out of the water. But yeah. Other than that, I got nothing going on today, dude. I'm kind of just chilling and talking about movies and watching movies. But that is it for at least the talking about movies part. Now we can both go and watch our movies on our own. But you should come here if you want to talk about them. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been the Leftover Popcorn Podcast, and I have been your host, Damon Lindemann. And of course, please, to help me out, do not forget on my Instagram at OMCDamien, follow me there, like the page, on Spotify at the Leftover Popcorn Podcast. Please give it a listen and like it, favorite it. And then on YouTube, the YouTube channel, Damien Lindemann, or just search Leftover Popcorn. Give me a view and like some of the videos or all of them, and then subscribe if you will. It just lets me know that you guys care and that you're listening, because honestly, I'm probably going to do it whether or not you are, because I like talking about movies, and I like talking to myself, and for those that are listening, I like to inform you about movies and stuff like that, because maybe you could find a new passion talking about movies or making movies or anything like that, like me. But yeah, of course, guys, as always, thank you so very much for listening. Bye-bye.